All right. So, your homework, as promised, nice and awkward. 2 questions from 833. And then 3 questions from 834. Hey, ladies, do I need to move you guys?
No.
We've done really well this whole year with choosing our own seats. Hey, Ivan, I can't move your back to the board. You guys, if you're gonna sit up there, you gotta move to one of the sides. So, on the mini mastery, we all pretty much made the same mistakes. If you made mistakes, there were 2 ways to solve number 1. But if you went the way that you got 140%, Adrian, you with me? If you went the way that you got 140%, that told you that including the original price, we went up by 40%. So if you got your answer 1.4, which is 140%, you got to take off the 100. Now, if you did this accurately by the way we did it in class, it's the change divided by the original, and that becomes 0.4 or 40%. Same story in number 2, but the price goes down. So if you compare the new price to the old price, you get 80%. Now, if I get a result of 80%, what does that actually tell me about the change that happened? It went down 20%, but again, you have to do the math. Or if we do it like we did in class, 100 divided by 500, that gives you 0.2, which when we move that decimal becomes 20%. There are no revisions to this. This was just to give you feedback about how you're doing and fix this in your head before the test next week, right? We're focusing now on just getting as much knowledge as we can before we get to there. So I'm not worried about revisions, but if you made these mistakes, like tune your brain in right now. If you're only looking for the percent change, you really just want to put the change compared to the original to make your life easier. Now in 3, our simple interest, you needed to be able to use that formula accurately. The biggest issue here was people converting 5% and making it 0.5. 5% is not 0.5. When we go to do this, it's 3,000 times 0.05 times 4. That gives us 600. And then we add it on to find the balance of $3,600. Any questions, 1, 2, or 3? Any questions? Sorry, I'm moving fast because we don't have much time. Those of you spinning things, can you please stop because I can't stay focused? It's not a you problem, it's a me problem. I can't not look at the helicopters happening, so please. This, as true last week, gas was $2.65. Now, a couple people solved this in interesting ways. Guys, you can buy any amount of gas down to the thousandths of a gallon. So those of you who gave me a whole number 7, you didn't need to make it a whole number, but it was about 7.5, right? So some of you gave me more decimal places, but with $20, we could only get about 7.5 gallons of gas, which back in the day before credit cards and debit cards were so prevalent, often you'd walk into the gas station, just hand them $20, say I want 20 on pump, whatever, because you'd know it wouldn't overfill your gas tank. You'll be able to put $20 in, but these days you can only just swipe the card and fill up whatever. This should be 26 kids. If 8 kids can go for 60, the proportion that we should have built should involve kids related to money, and we could cross multiply, or you could find a scale factor. Lots of ways to solve here. You should have gotten 26 kids. Questions? Which means you were wrong. So you're right, 24 can go, but you've left some money on the table. Wasted money. Questions? Going once. Going twice. Those are just for you, okay? So file those away if you want, or keep them out for now. I don't care. No skin off my back. Oh, I should probably like pause my music. It doesn't need to still be playing. All right. So on the practice test this morning, guys, I don't know why when we're 10 minutes into class, we're just now getting practice. There's Ava. Straight over there, I just put new stuff out this morning. Yeah, I'll open some of these packages. Alright, so my buddy Randy, who ironically is texting me right this moment about camping this weekend, is a draftsman, which is essentially the person that works directly under the architect. So the architect doesn't actually draw everything themselves, they design it. Natalie, it's really disrespectful for you to be talking at the same time as me. So if you really want me to be in my class and you and Jay want to have an important conversation, have you. It's better that way. I'm just being direct because I care about you and I want you to fix your behavior before you move on in life and disrespect other people. Thanks. So Randy gets given specific details that he needs to make happen. He actually works for the state of Ohio. Often his job comes down to where can I put desks, right? How big does the walkway need to be? How many people work here? What is the dimensions of the building? And all of this starts with a straight edge and a compass, or a protractor, or something where you can make angles or curves, all these basic tools. On the test, this will be digital now because everything's digital. So if you struggle with a tool on the state test, please raise a hand during the test and have somebody help you. But you should have in front of you, unless we ran out, and then we'll have to share, a protractor and a straight edge, which we're going to use the ruler for it, but we don't always have to use the ruler. So make sure that when you look at this, you can read it. There is a right way and a wrong way. This protractor has a right way and a wrong way. So when we go to use the protractor, we want to make sure that we start at 0. So if our first instructions are to draw a triangle with an edge of 1.5 centimeters and an angle of 60 degrees. Now, this question is going to maybe seem simple. What do I need to make an angle? Like, what do I absolutely, like, minimum requirements need to be able to make an angle? 2 lines. So, should I start by trying to make my angle, or should I start by making the line? So, grab your ruler. Let's make an edge that is 1.5 centimeters long. Then, off of that line, you want to make your angle of 60 degrees. Yeah, I'll probably do it over here. Please do not bend the rulers. That was Mr. Cabillo's one request. Even if the protractor is broken, we can still use it because we have half the numbers. So if I go to use this protractor, guys, notice how my numbers are backwards. If I want to come off the left-hand side of my protractor, I could use it backwards, or I can just make my angle on the right-hand side. So first we make our 1.5 centimeters. Then, to make your 60-degree angle, choose your vertex. Right, pick, are we coming off the left side or the right side? I, to use my compass, have to come off the left vertex. Now, here's the trick. And if you, go to do this on the state test, you'll still have to, you'll be doing this, but with it on, a digital tool. You got to place the intersection of your compass on the vertex. So this T, my intersection, right, we place that on the vertex and we line up the bottom line. Then we go up to 60, and we make a mark. Now, if I don't care how long something is, I can actually just use my protractor and draw that line. And now I'm going to use a pencil because we need to double check our instructions. No, wait, do we have any more instructions? So if you're just told, make this a triangle, and those are all the instructions that we have, will everyone's come out the same? No. We could make this a triangle by connecting over to here, or up to there, or straight up, or even way out here. So, what do you think the point of working through this is? The point. Yeah, some of you picked up on that. I tried to align my lesson with a couple times. What?
This is the word. Stop. They're killing me. These jokes are
When constructing in math, you must make sure you provide enough information. So another question you might see on the test, Ethan, would be look at the shape on the screen, explain how you could get someone to draw it. So if I wanted a specific triangle, are the 2 instructions that we have enough? No, because we have a bunch of different triangles here, guys. I don't know which of these is what we want. Now, if they said make a right triangle that has a 1.5 edge and a 60-degree angle, my right triangle would be this one straight down, because this right angle here would have to be true. So if they gave us more instructions, we could do it. But with what we have right now, we're kind of stuck. All right, so now I challenge you, make a quadrilateral. What does quadrilateral mean? 4 sides with an angle of 30 degrees, an angle of 60 degrees, and a side that is 5 centimeters long. I want to see if we all get the same shape here.
30 and 6.
Your group doesn't have a single protractor? What are we going to start with? The 5 centimeters, because we need a line before we can do anything else. Anyone else need a protractor? Because they're on the shapes templates too.
Oh wait, no, never mind. She finally gave me
They're on the bottom of the shapes templates. You guys have a protractor.
Okay, well then I need one. Oh my gosh, never mind.
Come on, man. I need you to grow up and be with us. You know what else is not funny? Going to school for 4 years and then just having kids walk into your class and do nothing. It is easiest to start with our edge. So, 5 centimeters. Now, if you take the time to make something specific, label it. So let's label that 5 centimeters. The uniqueness of our shapes is going to come down to the fact of where do we put our angles. And then do we have any other size information?
Can I have one of those, please? Oh. Whoa! Skylar, that was such
Look
a
at this
good
stuff.
throw.
Skylar.
Do it again.
Who wants it? Eva? Okay. I need to steal the protractor back. You can have that. Alright, now, do we know what vertex gets the 30 and what vertex gets the 60?
Yes. No.
We don't, right? I'm going to put that up on the TV. If we look at our instructions, we don't know what's what. So just choose one of your vertex to get the 30. Now hold up. Hey guys, can I have you with me, please? If not, there's not even a door stopping you from leaving. So if I make my 30, guys, I'm 100% honest. If you don't want to take part in what we're doing in math, all you got to do is go to the office and explain to your parents why you made that choice. So here's a problem, though. My protractor's broken, and I can't do a 60 degree from over here with how my protractor's laid. Because I need the ray that I'm working with to go through 0, and all I have to work with is 180. Is there a way I can solve this? This isn't technically like what you want to do, but if I flip it, I can make my ray go through 0, right? Because that's where my numbers start, that 0. Now I can find my 60, make my mark, and draw that. Now wait a minute. Did I follow the directions?
No.
What did it ask me to do? One angle measures 60, one angle measures 30. Wait, how could I make this a quadrilateral? Oh, I could go dupe. Skylar said I can go dupe dupe. I think what she means is connect. Right? So we could connect across here and turn that into a quadrilateral. Or we could connect any other way. So would we all get the same shape? No. Again, we don't have enough specifics. Yeah, Jalen.
Well, sir, my shape does not look like yours, but it indeed does have a side.
Yeah. I mean, so what we're all going to have, sorry, I was trying to figure out what you were going for. This 30 might be over here. This 60 might be over there. But we should all have a 5 centimeter side and these two angles. But we don't know anything else. Now, real quick, because we're going to keep moving fast and go to the next lesson. Take a moment, because I feel like some of you gloss over the math notes boxes, and they're really important. That's also why I would suggest doing your math homework with an actual book. In a circle, there are 3 particular names for lines inside of it. A chord, my music people, different than a chord. A chord is any line across the circle, from like edge to edge. The diameter means how far across, and the radius, shorter word, shorter edge. Shorter line, right? Radius versus diameter. When kids like ask for how do I remember this, best thing I really have for you is radius is a shorter word. Radius is going to be half the diameter, right? Because it's just from the middle out to the edge as opposed to all the way across through the middle. Any questions on parts of a circle? One of your homework questions that I chose deals with parts of a circle. Okay? No, diameter versus diameter. Chord does not relate to radius and diameter. Chord is just any, like, not a special line across the circle. It's just a line across the circle. So radius and diameter relate to each other, where radius is half the diameter. Questions? Or are we good? Your homework question 87 deals with circles. Wow, your guys' attitudes. You can bottle that up and take it with you to 8th grade.
Great attitude today. Me too. She is.
Alright, squiggly line. Squiggly line. Squiggly line. Right? Such a big request.
to be
I'll leave
excited
that
about
up to you.
triangle. Woo! Woo! Triangle. I'm doing a question mark.
Sure you can.
I put 3 eyes on.
All right. Was that okay? You look upset. So, we said something yesterday. We want to write down. Oh, let's first draw a reference triangle. So, I don't care how it looks on your paper. We're going to draw a triangle. We're going to label our sides A, B, and C. And let's label our angles little a, little b, little c.
This one, Layla, this one.
Hey guys, do you have to agree on which triangle you choose?
Yeah.
No, so at this point I'm not laughing. Like, you're just making class harder. We have 20 minutes and I'm trying to squeeze in as much as possible. We said something yesterday that we proved when we colored in on the paper and then ripped stuff apart. What did we say yesterday? Holds true always.
It creates a 180 line.
What do you mean it?
Like whenever you rip it and then you.
So if we want to use our triangle that we have on our paper and kind of write this down and formalize it, what would we say up here?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, we've got the pieces and parts labeled, Joey.
That no matter what, the angle of the triangle always add up to 80 degrees.
Yeah, so we formalize this, little a plus little b plus little c, right? Because those are the angles, will always equal 180.
All three.
So this is a genius.
A what?
This is the,
A genius.
C.
Adjacent?
Yeah.
Adjacent, next to. So these are not adjacent angles because none of them are next to each other. So the problem with these angles, actually that's a great question, thank you for bringing that up. B uses these rays and that vertex, right? A uses these rays and that vertex. So they might share a side. They do share a side, but they don't share a vertex. That's where the issue is. So these are not adjacent. So C uses these sides, again, different vertex. Remember, adjacent has to share the vertex and share a side. So adjacent angles would look like these. Those two angles, because they share the vertex and they share this side. Now, lines A, B, and C. If I make a triangle, and I encourage you now that we're talking about triangles, you can play with these whenever you want. If I make a triangle, triangle pieces. Now, I could make them all the same, or I can start to kind of move some things around. Right now, now this won't let me because they're not long enough or short enough or whatever. Actually, it will. God, I just built it wrong. Hey, Jalen, is that helpful you learning that? Sorry, guys. Again, I'm just at that point of being real honest with us. If I get lower and lower and lower and lower, it gets a little weird as I try to. Oh, this part's hitting too. That's the issue. What if I compress my red and yellow all the way down to make like the tiniest opening here possible? What could we still say about the length of red and the length of yellow? Forget about the extra part up here. Compared to the length of green. So now instead of talking about the angles, if we start talking about the legs, like, okay, you have a ruler in front of you, right? Make me a triangle. and I'll go ahead and give you the hint. It's a right triangle with legs 3, 4, and 5. So now it's a right triangle, so I'm going to help you with this. We'll cheat a little bit. A right triangle is going to have a right angle. We're going to go legs 3, 4, and actually if you measure this, regardless of units, that comes out and it works perfectly as 5. Now I'm gonna bring up a different point because I don't want to just give this to you guys. If I asked you to go home, and most of you probably like, sure, yeah, out here. If I asked you to go home, would you first go to Kilbourne High School and then go home?
No.
Why not?
It
Takes up time, right? It is extra that you have to walk. I'm just asking the question. So that's because from you to get home, you would rather go straight there. But if instead I go somewhere else, what could you say about these, like the distance of red compared to the distance of blue? Red's longer, right? I wasted time. I went to the high school or something like that. Now, if I go to a closer location, let's say UDF maybe, and I go to UDF, and then I go home, is my green distance still longer? This brings up a rule about triangles. If we have a triangle with legs A, B, C, if I add A and B, that's going to be bigger than C. But also, if I add B and C, that would be bigger than A. And if I add A and C, bigger than B, but yeah. And the reason I kind of tell that story first is to get you thinking about why this is true. If I walk straight to a destination, that's a distance, right? If I don't go straight there, so like to the doorway, right? If I get fed up with you guys and I'm going home, I could walk straight there, but I'm going to climb over some desks and some people, but that's the shortest distance. If I go this way first, and then I turn, and I go, that's further, right? This is what we call, and I'm only giving you the vocab in case the test brings up the vocab. This is what we call the triangle, and I would appreciate if you break this down, inequality theorem, and we can abbreviate theorem. I don't think we've used this a lot this year. In math, we often abbreviate theorem, THRM, because we've all kind of agreed that theorem can be abbreviated. THEORE. So if you are given two legs of a triangle, you should be able to make some kind of statement about the range of the other, or at least what it's less than or greater than, or like, let's try this out. So the lesson, if we had lots of time and we could walk through it slowly, was going to have us building different triangles, and we reach a point where we can't. So if I tell you to build a triangle with 1.5 centimeters, 4.5 centimeters, and 7, it's impossible. Because when I go to build this, if you imagine this is 1.5 and 4.5, my 7 is way too long when I go to connect them, so I have extra, or my short pieces actually aren't long enough to connect, because 1.5 and 4.5 adds up to 6, not 7. So that'd be like, if it's 7 to get to the door, right? I'm like, peace, I'm leaving. 1.5, 4.5, I never make it, right? I can't make the triangle because it's not enough distance. So let's try this. Right here, your math notes box, I want to start doing better about making sure you put some focus on this. This is like what we're talking about. If you put your biggest side down first. So if you want to try this, put down a 7 centimeter side on your paper. Then from one side, or I mean you could do this with centimeters, but I'm just going back to the one we just talked about. From one vertex, if I go 5, and the other vertex I go 7, I can't make it to the middle because I don't have enough distance. It's not 15. Now, what if my two legs equal the third? So, like, we realize this doesn't work. So instead of 5, I make this 8. Will that make our triangle? Will that get us where we want to be? I got some yeses and I got some nos. Anyone want to defend your answer? So what do you mean? Like make 7 bigger? So Ava's saying I would have to also make 7 bigger, or could I make 8 just bigger than 8? Like what if I make it 9? Well, so let's assume I can bend these like wherever we want. Anyone who said yes, can you defend your answer? Thinking that if I make these legs 8 and 7, I can make a triangle? If you, on your paper, draw a 15 centimeter or whatever units you want to use, and then you come from one side with 7 and the other side with 8, the only way to get them to connect is to be a straight line, not a triangle.
Oh my god.
If your legs are equal to the other one, it makes a straight line. So our 8 and our 7 would lay down flat. For us to pull it up and make a triangle, that's where the inequality, that's why it's bigger and it cannot be equal. Okay, so if you see a triangle, if you see a triangle and 2 of the legs equal the third, that's not a triangle. It can't be. No, you were right. It can't happen because they're not long enough. So if we make it like 10, right, if I make this like 10, so let's try this again. Instead of 8, ooh, could I do 10 and 5? No, because that won't be. Can I do 10 and 7? Yeah, because that's big. So 10 and 7 would actually make it and raise up a little, like that'd be fine. Amazingly, because I'm asking a lot out of you guys, I think I'm just going to let us work on homework. Were there any questions from last night's assignment? Skyler. So there's 833 if you want to get a start. 831. We started with 60, I think. Hey, so I know if you didn't do last night's homework or you had any struggles, we did 831 and 832 yesterday, both of them. Okay. 60 then.
832, not 831.
It was an 832.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Wait a moment. Oh, yeah. 74.
So, I figured you guys might, struggle on this a little bit. What could we say
Oh, I got that one. That one was
if we draw that arc? It's 180. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4x, and a 60. make 180?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Talk to her. Don't talk to me.
so then we subtract 60 and then divide that by 4 to get x. And then
There you go.
that's
Other questions from last night's homework or problems that you want me to do for you? We have like 3 or 4 minutes left, 4.5. Really.
1 by 5.
Okay, it's 1 divided by 5. I would leave it fraction form. And in terms of pi. I mean, it's got, like, you need sugar. Fruit is good for you. Bread is good for you. You can make the argument. Hey, Riley, it doesn't seem like the best decisions with those tools. Other questions you want me to do for you?
how much is do you know?
Not very many.
I know that many.
75, we were using our vocab. And then 78. Anyone need help with 78? Yeah. Why are you wasting this time? You could be doing homework right now. So you can get a good start. Like head of paper. By the way, last week's homework. Turn it in by the end of today. Last week's homework. So everything that was assigned last week. Which, if you want me to be real nice to you, I will. I will put this up here once, and that is it. Last week's homework was that, right? So took that yesterday before I pulled it down. 717 through 821. You should have that in your plan book. It should not be a surprise to you. I will freeze my screen and just leave that up till the end of class for anyone that wants to turn it in right now.